Just when we thought that Topps were basically making all the mistakes, Panini turned around to remind us just how incompetent they actually are. As you can see by the thumbnail, a stack of Immaculate cards were found unsigned in the trash, along with about 2,000 unsigned stickers. This is crazy. There's a few things I want to talk to on this one because it once again very clearly indicates how much further the businesses within this hobby have to go to better protect us as customers. This kind of thing is completely unacceptable. Now, this was brought to my attention a few hours ago by Tiffany Cards. As you can see on screen, they tagged me on Instagram because they stumbled across a Reddit thread that indicated there was a stack, of Jackson Merrill baseball cards, Immaculate cards, found within the trash at the person's place of work. And it's really concerning because it has a stack of cards in here that if somebody wanted to commit some hanky-panky, they could do some real damage to this hobby and to people's pockets, I should say. Now, as the person says, they work at an apartment complex that housed submissions players for a while, and they were all moving out. There was some stuff clogging their trash compactor, so when they went to clear it, they found all these boxes of Immaculate cards that were unsigned. Now, in this pile was also a letter from Panini indicating what the player had to do. It also indicated about 2,000 unsigned stickers and the pens to actually sign them themselves. So if somebody wanted to do some hanky-panky here and damage to the hobby, they could take these, forge the autos, use those stickers to forge any player's athlete, put them on fake cards, and legit scam people out of, tens of thousands of dollars, if not more. This could have been a big freaking problem. So, we as collectors should be very thankful that this person made the Reddit thread, because now we know to avoid this crap, and now we know that Panini need to look into this and try and find this person to make sure they can get a hold of those stickers back before anybody does some real damage. Now, as you can see here, you've got the one-of-ones from Immaculate for Jackson Merrill that are unsigned. You've then got the stack of gold cards, a bunch of the base, and then even more of the base, and a letter from Panini themselves, which I think is over here, that indicates what the player had to do. And this is not as simple as, just the cards themselves, right? Because if it was just the cards, we'd say, okay, don't buy anything from Immaculate 2023 for Jackson Merrill, because we know they're fake orders potentially, right? We know they're going to be a bit dangerous to touch, avoid them. But as you can see over here, there are sticker orders in there from Panini as well, and there's about 2,000 of them, right? It's utterly insane. You've also got the printing plates, some other cards that have the piece of the jacket on there with the buttons, and then also the pens that Panini use as well. So if somebody wanted to do some damage here, they actually could. You've then got a quick screenshot here showing what some of these redemptions are actually selling for, $50. Someone could, again, do some real hanky-panky here if they wanted to. Now, it's worthwhile reading the rest of the Reddit thread because there's a few, other photos shared, as well as people saying you need to contact Panini immediately because they need to be across what's happened here. And to give you guys some context, some of you might be saying, well, how does this happen? Doesn't Panini pay someone to oversee these things? And, as we talked to a few months ago when it came to that whole backdoored baseball card situation where it looked like the Topps Chrome and Bowman Chrome cards were stolen 6 months prior to release by the person overseeing the autograph signing session, is that Panini and Topps don't fly employees all around the country to see this sort of stuff, right? They do sometimes, but most of the time they'll pay an entry-level employee to oversee it, right? They'll pay someone, give them a quick training course, which might be something as simple as a phone call, explaining to them what they need to do, and then they pay them $10, $15, $20 an hour to watch it, and then they expect that person to ship the cards back. If it's not just a paid random person, it could be the agent of the player, a relative of the player, or a friend of the player overseeing the signing session. So when you factor that into your mind and then you see this, you're not surprised, right? Because it's not as formal as what you think it is. It's not as serious as what you think it is. And, these are nothing really new to see cards get stolen, backdoored, get thrown into the trash, all that kind of thing, because Topps Panini do the same crap. Every manufacturer does it like this, and it's not good enough. As we talked to with that whole Topps situation, I've mentioned this, countless times over the last 2 years. These businesses, they're treating us like crap. Their risk appetite as a business doesn't match the money that they're charging us, the money that they're expecting us to pay. 5-6 years ago, this might have been an okay process to do because, cards themselves were obviously still worth amounts of money, but they weren't worth anywhere near what they are right now. And if somebody was to get a hold of those cards or get a hold of those stickers and want to fake them and forge them and all that kind of thing, that could be $10, $20, $30, $100,000 potentially, if not more, worth of damage done to this industry. So the expectation of these businesses now is you can't do that same crap you were doing. If you want to charge us top dollar for buying the product because the hobby is such a boom right now, then you need to have your internal processes. You need to have the things that you have in place to do your work match that, right? You can't be expecting to pay someone $15, $20 an hour to oversee a signing session anymore. You either need to fly all the athletes to a central place to have them all signed, and this also goes for tops because they've made the same freaking mistakes, right? Or you fly an actual employee around the country, or you have every single session recorded on video, as an example, right? There's things that you could be putting in place that, yes, would impact your bottom line a lot more than what this approach is right now, but you need to treat it with the respect that it deserves. You're charging us top dollar. Your policies and procedures now need to match the amount of money that's within this industry, and it's not currently doing that. And it's something I've talked to, countless times over the last 2 years, and you guys are probably sick of hearing it. But when you're seeing stuff like this in 2023, to see something like that where either the person overseeing the signing session didn't monitor the situation, or Jackson Merrill signed up as himself to oversee the session, i.e. it's my understanding that some players can join the program and not have to have someone watch it, right? They just have to certify and authorize that they signed them themselves and no one else did, i.e. so then if something goes wrong, they're held liable. So irrespective of whether it was Jackson himself or someone was meant to be watching it, they obviously didn't do it because the cards ended up in the trash. And that is a huge freaking concern that I hope Panini are getting on top of this ASAP, because they need to make sure that those stickers do not end up out in the wild, or even those cards, but primarily those stickers, because that is so dangerous, the amount of fraud that could be committed off the back of that, especially with the stuff in China now where there are in fact auto pens and their ability to duplicate, cards and make them one-of-one copies and all that sort of thing. Those stickers put on those cards could fool even the best graders, which is quite alarming. But it's just such a surreal situation to me, how in 2023 you can still see businesses treating their processes, still having the same incredibly poor risk appetite, right? It is completely unacceptable. They are charging us so much money to buy these hobby boxes now. They're charging us, so much money to sort of participate in this hobby, yet they're still doing shit like this. And it's not just Panini. Tops do the same thing. I'm sure Upper Deck have had these issues in the past. I'm sure every single manufacturer has had issues like this in the past. And it's a problem across the board within this industry. I've talked to it so many times, you guys are sick of it. It's not just the manufacturers. The same shit happens at the graders with the mistakes they make. The same stuff happens with the authenticators like BBCE. It just happens everywhere. I'm yet to find a business within this industry, and maybe I've mentioned one or two in the past, that do things completely the right way. There's such a lack of transparency in this hobby. There's such a lack of communication. The risk appetite, the processes, the control environments, all of these businesses is so incredibly poor. And that's just me commenting from the outside looking in. I have no inside information. I work in external audit for a living, so I understand business processes really well. I understand policies and procedures really well. And when I'm talking about my opinion here, it's my own view. It doesn't represent the firm that I do work for, but it's just concerning to me, right? You're seeing all this stuff happen across the industry. And because we're seeing it like this, right, where we're seeing little things trickle out, it really worries me about, what is actually happening internally that we don't know about. How many other times have stuff like this gone down that we don't know about? How many other times have cards like this been dipped by the athlete themselves or by the person overseeing the signing session, i.e. like we saw with that Topps Bowman and Topps Chrome situation with those cards stolen 6 months before release? How many times has that happened and we don't know? How many times, more importantly, has it happened and the manufacturer themselves doesn't know? Because that is a lot bigger than what we think it is, for sure. There is no way that they're maybe even across that these cards were stolen. Yeah, they're probably going to realize that these redemptions are never going to get fulfilled because the cards never showed up. But, why did Panini not realize this sooner? Why did Panini not realize the cards didn't get sent back to them in time? If I go back to the letter itself, this was, I believe, sent on the 1st of June. And they needed to send it back, there you go, by the 21st of June. You can see over here. So that's what, 3 months ago, essentially, right? 3 months ago, over 3 months ago. And those cards could still end up in the trash. Why isn't Panini doing more here? It's just ridiculous to me. I'm really keen to get your thoughts on this. I just wanted to quickly record this for you today because I think it's an important one that, like I said at the very start of the video, Panini's basically saying, hey guys, don't forget about us. We're shit too. Don't put all the hate on Topps. It's just wild. Share your thoughts and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.